Well, it's a busy week at the Democratic National Convention, a week full of speeches, delegate gatherings, and a roll call vote, musical performances, and lots of events. Lee Enterprises political reporter Brenden Moore is covering the DNC at the United Center, and he joined us from Chicago. Give us a sense of the mood there. How are things going today? What's it like in the United Center?
Well, simply put, Chris, the vibes are really good in the convention hall. Democrats are fired up and ready to go to steal former President Barack Obama's line. They are very motivated and behind their nominee, Kamala Harris. It kind of echoes the sea change we've really seen in this presidential race over the past few weeks. Just an electric atmosphere. The first night when Vice President Harris came out for the first time and addressed the convention in a surprise appearance, and then President Joe Biden gave his speech, and then it continued last night with President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, and it's expected to continue over this next couple of days.
And you have pretty good seats. Can we see the view from your perch there?
Yeah, I'll turn it around very quick.
There you go.
Yeah,
Of the floor of the United Center.
yep.
So a lot of press has been given to the protests outside as well. Has the impact of that been felt inside the arena?
Not so much. Obviously, most of these protests are over the war in Gaza. A lot of my reporter friends are out covering it on the street. They've reported that there's, in many cases, more police and more reporters than protesters. The first night was pretty peaceful. Last night, there were about 60 or so arrests because there was an unsanctioned protest outside the Israeli embassy. But within the convention hall, really, besides a few minor hiccups, there were a couple of interruptions the first couple of nights from some protesters, but pretty minor. And there were a small amount of uncommitted delegates that did not cast their votes for Vice President Harris. But for the most part, the protests have not interrupted things here, besides a few hiccups. Things have gone pretty smoothly. This is not 1968, and there's been a lot of attention on that previous convention, but this one, it's not as many protesters, not as disruptive.
And you were at the Republican National Convention last month in Wisconsin. Um, Obviously, there's this different feeling there in Chicago than Milwaukee. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I mean, in Milwaukee, the vibes were really good in Milwaukee too. I mean, Republicans were feeling really good in the convention. They thought they were going to win a landslide against President Joe Biden, but obviously that following Sunday, 2 days after President Trump accepted the nomination, the president dropped out of the race and completely changed the race. A Democratic Party that was pretty dejected a month ago is fired up, and I would argue even more fired up than Republicans were for Trump a few weeks ago. And another thing to mention too is that, I mean, the Democrats really brought out the A list. I mean, you had, President Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton's going to speak tonight. You did not have that on the Republican side. I mean, the speakers there were very devoted to former President Trump. There were some current elected officials, but you didn't really have a lot of those party elders that you traditionally see at these conventions. So Republicans were unified, but maybe it was more of a smaller unity, whereas the Democrats have really kind of brought together their big tent coalition and are feeling really confident now heading into November.
What will you be looking for during the rest of the convention?
I'll be looking for if they can keep this momentum going. I mean, Vice President Harris has really been on a roll since she got into the race. She really surprised a lot of people with how smoothly this transition has been from Biden to Harris, the campaign. And I know when I was in Milwaukee with the Republicans, the convention went pretty well up until the last night when former President Trump gave his speech. It was a very long, rambling speech, more than 90 minutes. And many believe that the top billing did not live up to the what preceded it. So we will see if the vice president can continue the momentum that she has built over the past few weeks, and the build on the good vibes that convention delegates have been feeling these past few days in Chicago.
All right, Brenden Moore, political reporter for Lee Enterprises, joining us from the Democratic National Convention on the west side of Chicago. Thank you, Brenden, for joining us. The DNC runs through Thursday. It is being streamed each day on this website. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Chris Coates.